Turtle Island, right? Um, and that's how I look so pale. That's
I'm
when.
familiar with Turtle Island. It's awful.
Wait, what?
I'm familiar. It's truly awful.
Yeah,
Uh, like America is the poster child for eugenics programs. It is just it's awful. And I had like when the subject comes up, my heart absolutely bleeds uh, for just the scale of the erasure of culture.
yeah. And that's part of the reason it. It's not that it makes me angry because it's so normalized. What Emerson is doing there is so normalized that it's almost okay to say that because I'm so pale, um, it's wrong for me to bring up my indigeneity. Uh, Excuse you, but the 50s scoop, the 60s scoop, they were brutal to indigenous cultures. There's a reason I look so pale. It's because my ancestors were ripped away from their culture. That's why. Because there you
In
go.
in Australia, we have a saying: no matter how much milk is in the tea, it's still a cup of tea. Um, and it's maybe not like the most well thought out colloquialism, but the intent behind it is to say that no matter how deeply you've been whitewashed, uh, you are indigenous if you are indigenous. And I think it's yes. I'm not going to repeat that verbally, Ren, but that is absolutely. I like
Yeah.
if I were to try to explain to you what the um, like eugenics program was, you would not believe me because it sounds so far fetched and bizarre, but um, it is nutty.
Yeah, similar things were done here. I think that's just kind of a typical European colonial thing, really. It's like a playbook and an abuse thing as well. Miss, I can't
Absolutely.
see your whole name. Uh,
Hi, Auntie Wada.
Oh,
Hello.
I okay.
What's up, Savannah?
Yeah, I was muted in the comments. Was that you, Savannah?
No, I do not have mod powers.
Oh, okay. So, I was muted because I think that it's wild for white passing people, no matter how much ancestry they have, to lecture people of color who are actually phenotypically of color and actually experience racism in their everyday lives, not in the history of their ancestry, about how we react to, respond to, or engage with people who are phenotypically white. And I said that in the comments, I said white passing is white, and I was muted in the comments by one of the mods. And so I came up here to say that on the panel. White passing is white, and your ancestry is between you and your ancestors. It's between you and your tribe. It's between you and your people. But when you go out into the world and experience those privilege, and then come up on the TikTok and try to lecture um, phenotypically phenotypical people of color about how we react to you and respond to you, particularly when you may be being problematic in that way, is extremely harmful. And I came up here to say that because I was muted in the comments.
Well, it's also extremely harmful to threaten indigenous children, which
Who
is
threatened indigenous
historically
children?
Emerson,
Oh, we're talking
which
about history again.
no, we're talking about what Emerson and her friend and their friends were doing.
Oh, I'm not talking about Emerson. I don't know anything
Okay, well,
about
I'm
Emerson.
talking about Emerson. That's what we're talking about.
I'm talking about in phenotypically white people lecturing to people of color about how we react to you as white people when you don't experience racism in your day-to-day lives, regardless of how your ancestors may have experienced it.
I have experienced
And
racism, not on the same level as you, not at all, but I have.
white people don't experience racism, dear.
Yes,
No, they
Listen,
don't.
when my great uncle told me I was not allowed to sit at the table because I'm part red, and I'm not even going to say the rest of what he said. Yes, I have experienced it not on the same in the same
Racism
way or
is,
on the
I'm
same
sorry,
level as
racism is
you.
systems, it's systematic, it's
Yes, it is.
government, it's not your uncle.
Okay, so
It's not
if
individual.
we
No,
agree,
please do not talk over me. Don't like I know you're ancestrally indigenous, but I am a black woman. And and what you have said has been extremely harmful. And I'm not here to defend Emerson. Like I think that I've had similar experiences with them, just to be clear. But sitting down here in these comments and listening to that, as if we are as people of color who are in um what is the word that I'm phenotypically of color, lived experiences of color, experiencing systematic, not interpersonal racism every day, even on TikTok, to the fact where if you are a person of color, you can't even say the word YT. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then
I
to
mean,
get
that's all
here on
true.
and then get here on TikTok, and you have folks like trying to, it seems like silencing the critique of whiteness when people who pass as white are acting white.
What you're saying is true, especially about the systematic racism. It's friggin' everywhere. All the time, all day long. It is true.
I know.
And it has levels, and it affects so many people, and it's not just a person who looks a certain kind of way, it's also people who have that ancestry and are trying to reconnect.
It
That's
affected your ancestors, you mean?
my grandmother, my father,
Your ancestors.
my father. I'm not talking about the distant past, I'm talking about recent past.
Yeah, your ancestors.
No, it isn't just my ancestors. It's me getting my ass whooped in school because I'm not fully YT.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's bullying. That's not racism.
No, that was abuse. That was straight up
Yeah,
abuse
it is
every
abuse. You're
single
right.
day.
I'm sorry that happened to you. That's not racism.
When they
All
were
right,
calling me
I'm
a
not gonna.
R N word,
I'm
that was racism.
I'm not going to allow that to happen. One, on my platform. Two, to my partner. If somebody is being attacked in any way, shape, or form based on the color of their skin or their heritage because of race, it is racism. Specifically, if this is towards a marginalized community such as Indigenous Americans. Just because you are passing for a person of color or not does not make that a difference. It is racism if you're discriminating against somebody based upon their racial heritage, which race is fucking social construct. Anyway, bullshit, patriarchy, white supremacy, bullshit. I'm
I
not
look,
letting that happen on my platform.
yeah,
Can
You can get
we
muted for the entire live, and you can get blocked from my space because
can
that
we
kind of
round
shit
this
is.
back?
Yeah, Small, I'm sorry. You are valid as a human being, just like I am. And our
I,
ancestry, there's a
um,
lot of ancestral trauma that people
no,
don't get.
it's okay. Auntie has, on like several kind of interactions between me and her, she's like misgendered me, invalidated me. I'm well familiar with Auntie, and I don't really put any stock into the things that she says. Um, and outside of that, I also recognize that, as mentioned earlier, Australia's interaction with race is vastly different to the rest of the world. So even were Auntie to be someone that I put stock into the opinions of, I recognize that my familiarity with kind of the systemic oppression that Indigenous peoples experience within the kind of society and culture of Australia is going to be different to what we see elsewhere in the world. Um, so it still wouldn't affect me. But again, Auntie has been incredibly malicious towards me specifically in the past. So I really do not like put any stock in anything she says.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I just want to validate real quick that what Black people deal with in this country is extraordinarily disturbing, disgusting, and unacceptable. Also, at the same time, because multiple things can be true at the same time, what indigenous people have been dealing with since Europeans first invaded has been horrific. And same in Australia and India. And I mean, we can just go on all day long talking about the horrible things that Europeans have done all over the world. So, you know, okay, so let's get back to the topic. All right, Savannah.
Yeah. Savannah, you wanted to speak on Emerson, correct?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you both. So first and foremost, I just want to apologize to everyone that I've been listening to tonight for your experiences. A lot of, actually, all of it is new information to me. I have been in debate talk spaces for roughly, I guess, going on 3 months now. And one of my biggest flaws as a person, I do think this is a flaw. I think I'm incredibly trusting and I latch on to people very quickly. I have like an anxious attachment. I can hear cars, I'm close to the road. I felt like I was getting incredibly close and like I shared like past traumas of my own with them and I felt very, very safe and loved by this person. And I have platformed with them multiple times, but with all of these stories and all of this context coming from other people who I do care about and respect, and even if I didn't care about you or respect you, if you came forward with this type of thing, like that is going to trump anything else that I'm feeling. And so I guess my main thinking point here is that, like, again, baby debater, don't really know what I'm doing, but I want to prioritize safety. And if anyone anywhere says to me, I do not feel safe with this person, or this person has harmed me in some way, they will be permanently removed from my space. And that's happened with 3 different people, with obviously without naming any names. I do deeply apologize for any role that I may have taken in what is happening as far as platforming anyone. And that doesn't just apply to this specific call out. This applies to people that I may have paneled in the beginning that you all brought, certain things to light for me. So I just really want, and again, here's the problem. I don't want to center this around myself. At all. Like, I want people in my spaces and in my speaking groups and friend groups to know that their safety comes before my you know um, building friendships with someone, if that makes sense.
Um,
Look at the way you think they should look is racist. It's racist. Y'all don't know what I experienced in my family.
I'm going to be turning.
It was a lot. And it split my family up for a reason. Because certain people couldn't keep their mouth shut and stop being abusive to me. And I was very little. I didn't understand what they were saying, but I do now. Just because I don't look the way you think I should look does not mean that you get a right to erase my ancestors, my father, my grandmother. You're acting like this is 200 years ago. No, it isn't. It's today. My father is still alive. This is disgusting. For many of us who are trying to reconnect, it is a long, hard road. There's a lot of healing that goes along in with that, and learning everything at the same time, and understanding what your ancestors went through, what my grandmother went through. She passed away not that long ago. This isn't ancient history. This is now. Nobody gets to erase my ancestry or try to invalidate me or anyone else because
Yeah.
you feel a certain kind of way.
Yeah. For the rest of the live, if we can keep it on the topic of... Hi, Archer. Thank you for shoving your paw in my mouth. Sorry. If we could keep it on the topic of being harmed or witnessing someone being harmed by Emerson, that would be great. That's what this live is for. If you would like to address something else, you can do that with that person in their DMs. This is not the time or the place. Please read the room.
Yeah, we've been at this for how long now? It's like 10:30.
5.5 hours.
Oh my God.
We're almost 5.5 hours. 5 hours and 21 minutes roughly. I am at work. I think we are at the limit of the people who want to come up and express their personal experiences with Emerson. Emerson, so far in the past 5 hours and 20 minutes, has declined to show up to take personal accountability um, for everything that they have done. It is clear that Emerson does not want to be held publicly accountable for their actions. But I think we've had enough people up here to paint a good picture of exactly who Emerson is as a person and how problematic and abusive they are to people in general. Again, take this, everything that was said, as you will. I will not judge you, push you away. If you decide to continue to conversate with Emerson, I will personally be limiting my interactions with them to 0 going forward. Um, and that is my personal choice. That does not, I will not impose that on any of you. That said, thank you everybody for showing up. I intentionally left gifts off on this slide because I didn't want it to be about making coins, um, scoring points. Thank you everybody for being here, for liking the live, for sharing the live, for coming up and telling your stories. Um, you are all valid in everything that you've experienced. Thank you. We love you. Go hydrate, go eat, go take your medicines if you need to. Use the bathroom. Take care of yourself. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you, Maki. Have a good night. Good night, words.
You too.
Good night, y'all. And I hope that everyone remember self-care, hydrate, do that self-care. Me, I'm gonna go take a long hot bath, all right? Like all the hugs and love to y'all. And you're valid. My DMs are open. I'm here to help. Just
Words, give a comment real quick so that people can follow you because they can't click on your PFP right now.
okay. Just bear in mind, I have a lot of people that I have to get back to. So it may take me a minute to get to you, but I will. Okay. And how you're feeling is valid. Just, take a deep breath, hydrate. It helps your brain to feel better, and self-care. All right. I love y'all. Okay. All right. Sometimes when I'm talking about abuse tactics that a person is using, and I'm using that as an example, right? Or I'm talking about one person in particular, other people who engage in those very same tactics will feel like I'm talking about them, even when I'm not, even if I don't know they exist. I don't know anything about them, and they don't know me, okay? So that person that I don't know at all, and not talking about, might decide that I'm talking about them and then come after me. Even when I wasn't talking about them. Like they were not the point of the conversation. And therefore, they will end up calling themselves out. There's someone I don't even know. This person does not know me. This person does not know what I do on this app. Doesn't know anything about me. I wouldn't be surprised if they start data mining my page, though. This person is accusing me of
silencing black voices and femme persons.
well, it was black, trans women, and femme people.
Yep.
If I have ever done that, please let me know. Now, there are some femme-presenting people who are extremely toxic. Anyone can be toxic. It doesn't matter what your gender, sexuality, ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic background. I said this a million times. Anyone can be toxic. Anyone can be an abuser, and anyone can be abused. Anyone can be toxic, right? So, I just find it interesting doing a live stream, trying to call me out for things I didn't do, also trying to call me out for things that were not part of the equation, and they were not brought up because I didn't even know they existed until they were going off on me. I have to make something very clear. I look like a YT person. So there are certain aspects of racism I have never and will never deal with. And that's true. But I have experienced prejudice.
Prejudice.
Yes. With my speech impediment, that word is hard for me to say. The P word is what I will say from this point forward. I have experienced that since childhood. Because YT people will go after you even if you look YT, but you're not YT enough. Things that I experienced in my childhood would have been considered a hate crime right now because of the things that were being said to me at the time when I was getting my ass beat. This is the reality. When you are a reconnector, sometimes you catch hell from a variety of different sources, and it's a hard place to be, especially if you're a child at the time. I'm not the type of person to rug sweep, including for myself. The person who is doing this live stream right now had nothing to do with the original live stream that was going down. We weren't talking about them. We were talking about someone else who was toxic, and the people who were up on that panel, how many people was it? I lost track.
That were up on the live?
Yeah.
At least 20.
So at least 20 people, and that's just the people on the panel who were rotating through. That's not including the people who were in the chat, who didn't get up on the panel, and the people who messaged me in the DMs, and other people in the DMs, who were too afraid to publicly come forward. So the toxic person that we were talking about has a multitude of people that they have harmed. And it wasn't about ethnicity, it was about who has been harmed, are you okay, do you need help? And also hoping that the toxic person that we were talking about, who was hurting people, would go to therapy and get help. I said that I don't even know how many times, and other people said it as well. This was not a hate live stream. And for me, it was not a call-out live stream. It was a call-in. It was a, hey, this is a lot of people who all have similar experiences. Please go to therapy. Please seek help. Please get help. And one person decided to make it all about themselves and center themselves when it wasn't about them. In an attempt, I think, to derail the whole conversation. Because what do toxic people usually have in their pocket? People who will go out and do their bidding. Right? There are terms for this. Some of you are going to know what those terms are. So listen, go ahead and do your live stream talking about how horrible I am and I'm the root of all evil and so is my partner and everybody else, blah, 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 blah. If you're a trans medicalist, maybe you might want to do some reflection. If you are engaging in indigenous erasure, maybe you might want to do some self-reflection. If you are involved in talking over and speaking over and not listening to a femme-presenting person, then maybe you also might want to do some self-reflection. There's a thing called projection. There's also a thing called manipulation. There's also a thing called freaking out when you think you are being called out, but you're not. There's another term I could say, but I'm not going to. There are several things I could say, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to say instead is, therapy should be either free or ridiculously easily accessible for everyone, everywhere. But this is America, so it's not. And the people who could benefit from it the most are the very people who will find a very hard road trying to gain access to that therapy. And this is America. The land of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, indigenous phobia, like all of it. So, personally, I leave it to all of you out there to decide how you feel about me, the situation, what have you. And I'm always on that decolonization of my brain journey. And I probably always will be until the day I die. Because we are spoon-fed all of the hate, all of the hateful things from birth. So it's a constant thing that pale-skinned people will have to do. Always. I don't even know what else to say. But I will say this. I will never stop pointing out abuse tactics and abusive behaviors. That's never going to happen. And using abuse tactics to try to silence me isn't gonna work. Darvo isn't gonna work either. Ever. Please seek out therapy. And I hope you find healing. All of you who are toxic. Love y'all.